this persisting heaviness feels like pouring rain. Why must you persist? Oh, heaviness feels like pouring rain. Holding up this weight might break. This weight might break me. I stopped answering calls. Had to get more involved with finding myself. I'm two hands away from flowers at my funeral. Here lies the main. I'm two hands away from eulogies, but I don't wanna die today. You would say he's too young to be a martyr. Never got the chance to live free of the trauma. Never trusted him unless it was his father. Hope it's true what they said about karma. Cause I'm a degenerate and my meds don't work. I'm always skipping school cause Jack is on my shirt. I act up cause my liver only keeps getting so worse. And I act up cause all my friends keep taking rides in a hearse. So fuck church, I'm hurt, that burnt, need more paranoid. Don't lose faith in me, boy, I'm annoyed. I avoid, and I'm sorry that I toyed with your heart. We apart, now I'm hurt and that burnt. I need more, give me more or I'll die. I'm afraid I won't survive, and I tried, fuck I tried. Now I'm lying on the street, need a ride to get high. I can't stand being me, need a ride to get high. I can't stand being me. Fuck. Persisting feels like pouring rain. Why must you persist? Oh, heaviness feels like pouring rain. Holding up this weight might break. This weight might break.
Look, I create to distract myself from the fact that when I look at myself, I avoid eye contact. I feel like I overact, worried to death of the traits that I lack. Get rid of these flashbacks. I didn't ask to go back. Stand back and look back at all of my setbacks. So many times I have turned back to kick that, grabbed onto my drawbacks and come back to cut back. But how can a sad sack like me come back when I keep all of my drawbacks in my backpack? Like a bunch of fucking useless knick-knacks. I'm sure I'll bounce back, but for now, guess I'll just hang back.
I feel this eyes have to take calls. It's like pouring rain. I've been involved with finding myself. Two highs away. It's like pouring rain. Holding up this weight might break. This weight might break me. But I don't wanna die today. Never got the chance to live free of the trauma. He's too young to be a martyr. Never got the chance to live free of the trauma.
有言しよう。おお。さあ、有言しよう。おお。
Join me for an adventure, oh, much like any other, with twists and turns and plot devices, words and wonder. Now my advice is listen close. What makes this story different is the teller and the told. This one's ours and it's waiting to unfold. So come be merry with me. Yeah. Oh, come be merry with me. Come on, be merry with me. Join me for an adventure, oh, much like any other, with twists and turns and plot devices, words and wonder. Now my advice is listen close. What makes this story different is the teller and the told. This one's ours and it's waiting to unfold. Well, hello. How's everybody doing? Hope everybody is more than swell. I'm elated to be here. And yeah, welcome to Merry Mitch. We're reading aloud today
Percy Monster and the Sea of Jacksons. And you know, we're gonna be getting through, I think, about 3 chapters today. You're doing just a little bit epic. Well, hey man, a little bit epic is better than no epic, if you ask me. Heck yeah. I've been having a pretty darn good day. I got my car washed. It was heckin' dirty. I've done some laundry. It is yet to be folded, but I did do it. And yeah, just been hanging out. I worked on a little music. Did some other kind of homework stuff that I needed to do. And yeah, altogether, it's been a pretty dandy day. I am pretty excited. I've now officially started work on the D&D intro, and I'm pretty excited about it. I think it's coming along pretty darn well so far. It's got a cool vibe. Hey, what's up, Lucas? What's crack-a-lackin'? What's shimmyin'? And what is shammyin'? This must be a thing with you and your gaggle of goons, right? The poopy in the pants motto, if you will. Hello, L from Death Note. Where? Are you talking about me? I did, oddly enough, strange that you say that. I cosplayed as that goober once. Once upon a time, about like, I think it's 3 or 4 years ago now. Holy free holies, dude. Well, heck yeah, guys, welcome. Yeah, dude, I think everybody got the duty pants on lockdown that time. Well done. I say round of applause. You just missed the intro theme. We're just getting started here, so you are right on time. How's everybody doing? I've had a pretty splendid day so far. If you don't know what I do here, I am a reader of literature. In an effort to, practice my voice acting and introduce myself and others to literature, either stuff that I've read in the past that I really enjoy, or whether that be new stuff to both of us. I read it out loud, and we have a dandy little time. Today, if you look below, we're reading Percy Monster and the Sea of Jacksons. It's one of our normal days where on Mondays, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays, Mondays, Tuesdays, Wednesdays now, we read Percy Jackson, going through like an actual full series. But once it hits Thursday, and we go into kind of like the weekend where special events happen. On Thursdays, we're going to start doing a D&D thing, which I'm pretty excited about. That'll be a neat little new add-on to what I do here. And the DM is a real cool guy, and we're gonna be doing it with my friends and junk. It'll be dandy, I think. And on Fridays we do Fantasy Fridays, which is where it's half fanfic, half fantasy Friday now. So we're gonna be reading fan fiction as well as fanciful tales of goblins and ghouls and gallivanting adventurers and such things, stories along those lines. On Saturday we have Simp Saturday, as it has been lovingly titled now, because it is SYMP Saturday. It's called Say Your Merry Prayers Saturday, because we're going to be reading horror stories and things that are spooky and scary, and will send a shiver down your tailbone. And we finish it off on Sunday with Sci-Fi Sunday, reading things like from authors like Ray Bradbury and H.G. Wells. Some of the mainstay ones, and some that you may have not heard of even. But heck yeah, hearing Mitch say it in his reading voice makes it that much better. No doubt about it. I try. But heck yeah, I know you guys haven't been following along with the story, at least the Percy Jackson series, but I'd love for you guys to stick around for a chapter. I think it's still a fun time, even if you're not like fully into the series. Where we last left off, I'll do my little recap now. Our heroes, Percy and Annabeth, Percy being the son of Poseidon, Annabeth being the daughter of Athena. If I arc my back just the right way, I can hear stream through my wireless headphones while I take a dump. Shoot, dude, that one got me. It's the visual of it that that kills me. Sitting. Heck yeah. Sorry, back to the recap. So our heroes, Percy and Annabeth, had just escaped an island where a sorceress was trying to turn Percy, or had succeeded in turning Percy into a guinea pig, because she believes that all men are, in fact, pigs. So she turned Percy into one, but Annabeth soon caught on to the sorceress's trickery, and was able to save him, and they got out of there, releasing Blackbeard and his goons upon like the spa where Circe the sorceress reigned. They then took the Queen Anne's Revenge, Blackbeard's ship, and sailed it over to their destination of choice, which is an island where Grover, Percy's best friend, was being held captive by a terrifying cyclops known as Polyphemus. And Polyphemus, they sailed on over there. They finally got there, but lo and behold, they actually found out that they weren't the only ones that made it to the island. They had bumped in with Clarisse, a daughter of Ares, who had been the one actually sent on this quest. They bumped into Clarisse and was traveling with her for a time, but their ship exploded, so they got separated. But they lo and behold, Clarisse is actually on the island where they wound up, and she was being held captive by Polyphemus. She spilled the beans on Grover being a satyr, which is half goat, half man, whereas Grover had been tricking Polyphemus, which was the only reason why he was still alive. He'd been tricking Polyphemus into thinking that he was a female Cyclops and a suitable candidate to be his wife. So once he found that out, he was mad, but then he looked over to Clarisse and was like, dang, that girl be spunky. And so he decided, we'll eat Grover for the wedding feast, and we'll still have the wedding, but I'll be married to Clarisse. So a new predicament had unfolded with that, but thanks to Annabeth's wits and Percy's bravery, they were able to trick the Cyclops once again, and get their friends and themselves out of there, supposedly. And as they were running from Polyphemus, Polyphemus wound up catching up to them. Though they had tricked him, it wasn't exactly enough to actually, topple him or completely bamboozle him. He caught on eventually. So they had to run from him, but he chased after them, and all of a sudden, there was the triumphant return of Tyson, the Cyclops that Percy had met at his previous school year, who'd become a really good friend of his. He thought that Tyson had died in the explosion of Clarisse's ship, But lo and behold, Tyson returned. In fact, by dramatic means, by tossing a big rock into Polyphemus's face just before Polyphemus was about to demolish Percy. So yeah, they ran away. Polyphemus got by Tyson in his return. They were able to get the golden fleece and were heading on out. But as they were approaching the Queen Anne's Revenge, Polyphemus had been knocked off of a cliff, but had somehow survived. So lo and behold, trudging through the water was Polyphemus, as our heroes were approaching the ship. So that's where we left off, with Polyphemus approaching, and also, sorry, there's a lot to explain, but also man-eating sheep behind them, following Tyson. So they're in like a bit of a pincer right now between Polyphemus and man-eating sheep. That's the gist of what you need to know, I think. If anybody has questions, feel free to ask. Right on. I think we lost most of them fellas, but regardless, I'm very grateful for the raid, Lucas. I tried to go a little more in depth with the recap, but I don't know. I kind of realized as I was explaining it that there's a lot of things to explain if I wanted to catch everybody up to to the point that we were at. But yeah, no, for real. Regardless, thank you for the raid. And without further ado, let's get into this chapter. Alright, this is Percy Jackson and the Sea of Monsters by Rick Riordan. 16. I go down with the ship. You'd think he'd run out of rocks, I muttered. Swim for it, Grover said. He and Clarice plunged into the surf. Annabeth hung on to Clarice's neck and tried to paddle with one hand, the wet fleece weighing her down. But the monster's attention wasn't on the fleece.
You young Cyclops,
Polyphemus roared.
Traitor to your own kind.
Tyson froze. Don't listen to him, I pleaded. Come on. I pulled Tyson's arm, but I might as well have been pulling a mountain. He turned and faced the older Cyclops.
I am not a traitor. You serve mortals,
Polyphemus shouted.
Thieving humans.
Polyphemus threw his first boulder. Tyson swatted it aside with his fist.
Not a traitor,
Tyson said.
And you are not my kind. Death or victory?
Polyphemus charged into the surf, but his foot was still wounded. He immediately stumbled and fell on his face. That would have been funny, except he started to get up again, spitting salt water and growling. Percy! Clarice yelled. Come on! They were almost to the ship with the fleece. If I could just keep the monster distracted a little longer.
Go,
Tyson told me.
I will hold Big Ugly.
No, he'll kill you. I already lost Tyson once. I wasn't going to lose him again. We'll fight him together.
Together,
Tyson agreed. I drew my sword. Polyphemus advanced carefully, limping worse than ever. But there was nothing wrong with his throwing arm. He chucked his second boulder. I dove to one side, but I still would have been smashed if Tyson's fist hadn't blasted the rock to rubble. I willed the sea to rise. A 20-foot wave surged up, lifting me on its crest. I rose toward the Cyclops and kicked him in the eye, leaping over his head as the water blasted him onto the beach.
Destroy youth!
Polyphemus spluttered.
Fleece stealer!
You stole the fleece, I yelled. You've been using it to lure satyrs to their deaths.
So? Satyr's good eating.
The fleece should be used to heal. It belongs to the children of the gods.
I am a child of the gods.
Polyphemus swiped at me, but I sidestepped.
Father Poseidon, curse this thief.
He was blinking hard now, like he could barely see. I realized he was starting by the sound of my voice. Poseidon won't curse me, I said, backing up as the Cyclops grabbed air. I'm his son too. He won't play favorites. Polyphemus roared. He ripped an olive tree out of the side of the cliff and smashed it where I'd been standing a moment before.
Humans not the same. Nasty, tricking, lying.
Grover was helping Annabeth aboard the ship. Clarice was waving frantically at me, telling me to come on. Tyson worked his way around Polyphemus, trying to get behind him.
Young one,
The older Cyclops called.
where are you? Help me!
Tyson stopped.
You weren't raised right.
Polyphemus wailed, shaking his olive tree club.
Poor orphan brother. Help me.
No one moved. No sound but the ocean and my own heartbeat. Then Tyson stepped forward, raising his hands defensively.
Don't fight, Cyclops brother. Put down the...
Polyphemus spun towards his voice. Tyson! I shouted. The tree struck him with such force it would have flattened me into a Percy pizza with extra olives. Tyson flew backwards, plowing a trench into the sand. Polyphemus charged after him, but I shouted, No! I lunged as far as I could with Riptide. I'd hoped to sting Polyphemus in the back of the thigh, but I managed to leap a little bit higher.
Blah!
Polyphemus bleated, just like his sheep, and swung at me with his tree. I dove, but still got raked across the back by a dozen jagged branches. I was bleeding and bruised and exhausted. The guinea pig inside me wanted to bolt, but I swallowed down my fear. Polyphemus swung the tree again, but this time I was ready. I grabbed a branch as it passed, ignoring the pain in my hands as I was jerked skyward, and let the Cyclops lift me into the air. At the top of the arc, I let go and fell straight against the giant's face, landing with both feet on his already damaged eye. Polyphemus yowled in pain. Tyson tackled him, pulling him down. I landed next to him, sword in hand, within striking distance of the monster's heart. But I locked eyes with Tyson, and I knew I couldn't do it. It just wasn't right. Let him go, I told Tyson. Run. With one last mighty effort, Tyson pushed the cursing older Cyclops away, and we ran for the surf.
I will smash you!
Polyphemus yelled, doubling over in pain, his enormous hands cupped over his eye. Tyson and I plunged into the waves.
Where are you?
Polyphemus screamed. He picked up his tree club and threw it into the water. It splashed off to our right. I summoned up a current to carry us. As we started gaining speed, I was beginning to think we might make it to the ship, when Clarice shouted from the deck, "Yeah, Jackson!" "Oh, yeah, Jackson! In your face, Cyclops!" "Shut up," I wanted to yell.
Roar! Roar!
Polyphemus picked up a boulder. He threw it toward the sound of Clarice's voice, but it fell short, narrowly missing Tyson and me. "Yeah, yeah," Clarice taunted. "You throw like a wimp. Teach you to try marrying me, you idiot." "Clarice!" I yelled, unable to stand it. "Shut up!" Too late. Polyphemus threw another boulder, and this time I watched helplessly as it sailed over my head and crashed through the hull of the Queen Anne's Revenge. You wouldn't believe how fast a ship can sink. The Queen Anne's Revenge creaked and groaned and listed forward like it was going down a playground slide. I cursed, willing the sea to push us faster, but the ship's masts were already going under. "Dive!" I told Tyson. As another rock sailed over our heads, we plunged underwater. My friends were sinking fast, trying to swim, without luck, in the bubbly trail of the ship's wreckage. Not many people realize that when a ship goes down, it acts like a sinkhole, pulling down everything around it. Clarice was a strong swimmer, but even she wasn't making any progress. Grover frantically kicked with his hooves. Annabeth was hanging on to the fleece, which flashed in the water like a wave of new pennies. I swam towards them, knowing that I might not have the strength to pull my friends out. Worse, pieces of timber were swirling around them. None of my power with water would help if I got whacked on the head by a beam. "We need help," I thought.
Yes.
Tyson's voice loud and clear in my head. I looked at him, startled. I'd heard Nereids and other water spirits speak to me underwater before, but it never occurred to me Tyson was a son of Poseidon. We could communicate with each other.
Rainbow,
Tyson said. I nodded, then closed my eyes and concentrated, adding my voice to Tyson's. Rainbow, we need you! Immediately, shapes shimmered in the darkness below. 3 horses with fish tails, galloping upward faster than dolphins. Rainbow and his friends glanced in our direction and seemed to read our thoughts. They whisked into the wreckage, and a moment later burst upward in a cloud of bubbles. Grover, Annabeth, and Clarice, each clinging to the neck of a hippocampus. Rainbow, the largest, had Clarice. He raced over to us and allowed Tyson to grab hold of his mane. His friends who bore Annabeth did the same for me. We broke the surface of the water and raced away from Polyphemus's island. Behind us, I could hear the Cyclops roaring in triumph.
I did it! I finally sank nobody!
I hoped he never found out he was wrong. We skimmed across the sea as the island shrank to a dot and then disappeared. Did it? Annabeth muttered in exhaustion. She slumped against the neck of the hippocampus and instantly fell asleep. I didn't know how far the hippocampi could take us. I didn't know where we were going. I just propped up Annabeth so she wouldn't fall off, covered her in the golden fleece that we'd been through so much to get, and said a silent prayer of thanks. Which reminded me, I still owed the gods a debt. You're a genius, I told Annabeth quietly. Then I put my head against the fleece, and before I knew it, I was asleep too. Ooh woo. Ooh woo. Ooh woo 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 woo. Solid chapter. That was sweet, dude. That was sweet. Dude, that moment at the end there, Percy whispering, "You're a genius." Freaking adorable. As he's so exhausted, he's about to conk the heck out. Yeah, definitely real short. I feel like I struggled a bit with Polyphemus's voice on a couple of occasions in there, but hey, you know, it's okay. I feel like one of my roars wound up like without any bass in it once. And I was like, oh heck. But hey, let's not focus on the negatives, right? Also, I like the irony when Polyphemus bleats. It goes blah, like his sheep. Some solid irony. Also, they spared him. Percy spared him. Even though, man, you know, he would respawn, you know, eventually. So it's not that terrible a thing to kill a monster, right? But it makes sense, right? He saw Tyson and realized, frick, can't kill a Cyclops. You wouldn't have? Yeah. I mean, Polyphemus might be dumb, a tricky little goon, but I don't know. He really was just doing his thing on that island. You know what I mean? He was just, you know, he was just living, eating sheep, luring satyrs to their death. The huge. Do you think Grover wanted to see Polyphemus dead? Could kill him with your bare hands? I believe it, dude. Guys, everyone watch out. Kramples not only is a is a bad word, but he's also a badass. Sweet, dude. Well, since that one was so short, how about we just jump into this next chapter? Golly, this next one's real short, too. Yeah, let's go ahead and jump into the next one. So long as you guys are ready. I normally do a break at like the hour... Sorry. I was shifting my chair. Friggin' bumped the desk. Since I normally do a break at the hour mark, we're not even there. Let's go ahead and jump into this next chapter. Hang on. I do want to adjust a wee bit. Alright. Well, that works for sure. I agree. I very much agree with that. Let's do it. Okay. Heck yeah. 17. We get a surprise. Sorry. 17. We get a surprise on Miami Beach. Percy, wake up. Salt water splashed my face. Annabeth was shaking my shoulder. In the distance, the sun was setting behind a city skyline. I could see a beachside highway lined with palm trees, storefronts glowing with red and blue neon, a harbor filled with sailboats and cruise ships. Miami, I think, Annabeth said. But the hippocampi are acting funny. Sure enough, our fishy friends had slowed down and were whinnying and swimming in circles, almost sniffing the water. They didn't look happy. One of them sneezed. I could tell what they were thinking. This is as far as they'll take us, I said. Too many humans, too much population. We'll have to swim to the shore on our own. None of us was very psyched about that, but we thanked Rainbow and his friends for the ride. Tyson cried a little. He unfastened the makeshift saddle pack he'd made, which contained his toolkit and a couple of other things he'd salvaged from the Birmingham wreck. He hugged Rainbow around the neck, gave him a soggy mango he'd picked up on the island, and said goodbye. Once the hippocampi's white manes disappeared into the sea, we swam for the shore. The waves pushed us forward, and in no time we were back in the mortal world. We wandered along the cruise line docks, pushing through crowds of people arriving for vacations. Porters bustled around with carts of luggage. Taxi drivers yelled at each other in Spanish and tried to cut in line for customers. If anybody noticed us, 5 kids dripping wet and looking like they just had a fight with a monster, they didn't let on. Now that we were back among mortals, Tyson's single eye had blurred from the mist. Grover had put on his cap and sneakers. Even the fleece had transformed from a sheepskin to a red and gold high school leather jacket, with a large glittery Omega on the pocket. Annabeth ran to the nearest newspaper box and checked the date on the Miami Herald. She cursed. June 18th! We've been away from camp 10 days! That's impossible, Clarice said, but I knew it wasn't. Time traveled differently in monstrous places. Thalia's tree must be almost dead, Grover wailed. We have to get the fleece back tonight. Clarice slumped down on the pavement. And how are we supposed to do that? Her voice trembled. We're hundreds of miles away. No money. No ride. This is just like the Oracle said. It's your fault, Jackson. If you hadn't interfered... Percy's fault? Annabeth exploded. Clarice, how can you say that? You are the biggest... Stop it, I said. Clarice put her head in hands. Annabeth stomped her foot in frustration. The thing was, I'd almost forgotten this quest was supposed to be Clarice's. For a scary moment, I saw things from her point of view. How would I feel if a bunch of other heroes had butted in and made me look bad? I thought about what I'd overheard in the boiler room of the CSS Birmingham. Ares yelling at Clarice, warning her that she'd better not fail. Ares couldn't care less about the camp, but if Clarice made him look bad... Clarice, I said, what did the Oracle tell you exactly? She looked up. I thought she was going to tell me off, but instead, she took a deep breath and recited her prophecy. You shall sail the iron ship with warriors of bone. You shall find what you seek and make it your own. But despair for your life entombed with stone, and fail without friends to fly home alone. Ouch, Grover mumbled. No, I said. No. Wait a minute. I've got it. I searched my pockets for money, and found nothing but a golden drachma. Does anybody have any cash? Annabeth and Grover shook their heads morosely. Clarice pulled a wet Confederate dollar from her pocket and sighed.
Cash?
Tyson asked hesitantly.
Like green paper.
I looked at him. Yeah?
Like the kind in duffel bags.
Yeah, but we lost those bags days I stuttered to a halt as Tyson rummaged in his saddle pack and pulled out the Ziploc bag full of cash that Hermes had included in our supplies. Tyson, I said, how did you...
Thought it was a feed bag for Rainbow,
he said.
Found it floating in sea, but only paper inside. Sorry.
He handed me the cash. Fives and tens, at least $300. I ran to the curb and grabbed a taxi that was just letting out a family of cruise passengers. Clarice, I yelled. Come on, you're going to the airport. Annabeth, give her the fleece. I'm not sure which of them looked more stunned as I took the fleece leather jacket from Annabeth, tucked the cash into its pocket, and put it in Clarice's arms. Clarice said, You just let me... It's your quest, I said. We only have enough money for one flight. Besides, I can't travel by air. Zeus would blast me into a million pieces. That's what the prophecy meant. You'd fail without friends, meaning you'd need our help. But you'd have to fly home alone. You have to get the fleece back safely. I could see her mind working, suspicious at first, wondering what trick I was playing, then finally deciding I meant what I said. She jumped in the cab. You can count on me. I won't fail. Not failing would be good. The cab peeled out in a cloud of exhaust. The fleece was on its way. Percy, Annabeth said, that was so... generous, Grover offered. Insane, Annabeth corrected. You're betting the lives of everybody at camp that Clarice will get the fleece safely back by tonight? It's her quest, I said. She deserves a chance.
Percy is nice,
Tyson said. Percy is too nice, Annabeth grumbled. But I couldn't help thinking that maybe, just maybe, she was a little impressed. I'd surprised her anyway, and that wasn't easy to do. Come on, I told my friends. Let's find another way home. That's when I turned and found a sword's point at my throat. Hey, cuz, said Luke. Welcome back to the States. His bear-man thugs appeared on either side of us. One grabbed Annabeth and Grover by their t-shirt collars. The other tried to grab Tyson, but Tyson knocked him into a pile of luggage and roared at Luke. Percy, Luke said calmly, tell your giant to back down, or I'll have Aureus bash your friends' heads together. Aureus grinned and raised Annabeth and Grover off the ground, kicking and screaming. What do you want, Luke? I growled. He smiled, the scar rippling on the side of his face. He gestured toward the end of the dock, and I noticed what should have been obvious. The biggest boat in port was the Princess Andromeda. Why, Percy, Luke said. I want to extend my hospitality, of course. The Bear twins herded us aboard the Princess Andromeda. They threw us down on the aft deck in front of the swimming pool with sparkling fountains that sprayed into the air. A dozen of Luke's assorted goons, snake people, Lastrygonians, demigods in battle armor, had gathered to watch us get some hospitality. And so, the fleece, Luke mused. Where is it? He looked us over, prodding my shirt with the tip of his sword, poking Grover's jeans. Hey! Grover yelled. That's real goat fur under there. Sorry, old friend. Luke smiled. Just give me the fleece, and I'll leave you to return to your, little nature quest. Blah! Grover protested. Some old friend. Maybe you didn't hear me. Luke's voice was dangerously calm. Where is the fleece? Not here, I said. I probably shouldn't have told him anything, but it felt good to throw that truth in his face. We sent it on ahead of us. You messed up. Luke's eyes narrowed. You're lying. You couldn't have. His face reddened as a horrible possibility occurred to him. Clarice. I nodded. You trusted. You gave. Yeah. Agrius. The bear giant flinched. Yes. Get below and prepare my steed. Bring it to the deck. I need to fly to Miami Airport fast. But boss, do it! Luke screamed, or I'll feed you to the dragon. The bearman gulped and lumbered down the stairs. Luke paced in front of the swimming pool, cursing in ancient Greek, gripping his sword so tight his knuckles turned white. The rest of Luke's crew looked uneasy. Maybe they'd never seen their boss so unhinged before. I started thinking, if I could use Luke's anger, get him to talk so everybody could hear how crazy his plans were. I looked at the swimming pool, at the fountains spraying mist into the air, making a rainbow in the sunset, and suddenly, I had an idea. You've been toying with us all along, I said. You wanted us to bring you the fleece and save you the trouble of getting it. Luke scowled. Of course, you idiot. And you've messed up everything. Traitor. I dug my last gold drachma out of my pocket and threw it at Luke. As I expected, he dodged it easily. The coin sailed into the spray of rainbow-colored water. I hoped my prayer would be accepted in silence. I thought with all my heart, O goddess, accept my offering. You tricked all of us, I yelled at Luke. Even Dionysus at Camp Half-Blood. Behind Luke, the fountain began to shimmer. But I needed everyone's attention on me, so I uncapped Riptide. Luke just sneered. This is no time for heroics, Percy. Drop your puny little sword, or I'll have you killed sooner rather than later. Who poisoned Thalia's tree, Luke? I did, of course, he snarled. I already told you that. I used Elder Python venom straight from the depths of Tartarus. Chiron had nothing to do with it? You know he would never do that. The old fool wouldn't have the guts. You call it guts? Betraying your friends? Endangering the whole camp? Luke raised his sword. You don't understand the half of it. I was going to let you take the fleece once I was done with it. That made me hesitate. Why would he let me take the fleece? He might have been lying, but I couldn't afford to lose his attention. You were going to heal Kronos, I said. Yes, the fleece's magic would have sped his mending process by tenfold. But you haven't stopped us, Percy. You've only slowed us down a little. And so you poisoned the tree. You betrayed Thalia. You set us up, all to help Kronos destroy the gods. Luke gritted his teeth. You know that! Why do you keep asking me? Because I want everybody in the audience to hear you. What audience? Then his eyes narrowed. He looked behind him, and his goons did the same. They gasped and stumbled back. Above the pool, shimmering in the rainbow mist, was an iris message vision of Dionysus, Tantalus, and the whole camp in the dining pavilion. They sat in stunned silence, watching us. Well, said Dionysus dryly, some unplanned dinner entertainment. Mr. D, you heard him, I said. You all heard Luke. The poisoning of the tree wasn't Chiron's fault. Mr. D sighed. I suppose not. The iris message could be a trick, Tantalus suggested, but his attention was mostly on his cheeseburger, which he was trying to corner with both of his hands. I fear not, Mr. D said, looking with distaste at Tantalus. It appears I shall have to reinstate Chiron as activities director. Suppose I do miss the old horse's pinochle games. Tantalus grabbed the cheeseburger. It didn't bolt away from him. He lifted it from the plate and stared at it in amazement, as if it were the largest diamond in the world. I got it! We are no longer in need of your services, Tantalus, Mr. D announced. Tantalus looked stunned. What? But... You may return to the underworld. You are dismissed. No, but... No! As he dissolved into mist, his fingers clutched at the cheeseburger, trying to bring it to his mouth. But it was too late. He disappeared, and the cheeseburger fell back onto its plate. The campers exploded into cheering. Luke bellowed with rage. He slashed his sword through the fountain, and the iris message dissolved. But the deed was done. I was feeling pretty good about myself, until Luke turned and gave me a murderous look. Kronos was right, Percy. You're an unreliable weapon. You need to be replaced. I wasn't sure what he meant, but I didn't have time to think about it. One of his men blew a brass whistle, and the deck doors flew open. A dozen more warriors poured out, making a circle around us, the brass tips of their spears bristling. Luke smiled at me. You'll never leave this boat alive. Let's go. Dang, right on time. Just in time for the break. Right on. The next chapter is a little bit longer, but honestly, these last few chapters are pretty darn short. I mean, look at how much book we have left. Wild, right? I don't know. We maybe could just finish it tonight? Question mark? That way next Monday we start the next book. That could work for me. Yeah, there's about like 30, 35 pages left. Or like maybe a little under 40 pages left. Let's see, we're at 243 and it ends on 277. Can somebody do the math? I don't know. I'm not gonna do the math. 77 minus 43. Go! Quick, Twitch chat, please. Help. I refuse to do math. Hey, May. What's up? Left until we finish the book. We're right at the end. Yeah, like about 40 pages-ish until the book is complete. Oh, heck yeah. Let's go, Lucas. Sorry, yeah, 34 pages. I knew I could count on you, dude. Thank you. Dang, yeah. If there's only 34 pages, I say... Oh, a smart guy in chat, I see. You're some kind of smart guy, huh? Lucas, you fancy yourself some kind of smart fella? Huh? Nah, he is a smart dude. He's like crazy intelligent. If you ever like jump over to his streams, I mean, even the friggin' Yu-Gi-Oh stuff that he does, like the fact that he knows that much about the card game is, I don't know, it's wickedly impressive in my opinion. Whoa. Basically, you end it next stream. I'm thinking about ending it this stream, actually. I mean, we just made it through like the first 2 chapters. Normally I read about 3 chapters, 3 to 4 per stream. But I'm thinking we just finish it tonight. I mean, I don't see why not. That way, because tomorrow starts the weekend events. So that way next week, next Monday, we'll be starting the 3rd book. Yeah, this book is shorter, but it's definitely, I think it's a little faster paced and has a little more action and twists and turns. Heck yeah. So we got, I think like 3 chapters left or something, but each of them are super short. Yeah, we have 18, 19, and 20. Let's do this. So let's give me a little bit. I'm gonna go take a break ski, and then I'll come back refreshed, ready to finish a book. Lol. Kitties make anything safe for work. That's a lie. That's a lie. That's not true in the slightest. Oh, SFW is safe for work. It's like a fancy way of saying like appropriate for all ages. You know, PG. Aw, thanks, dude. I'm thinking I will. Yeah, we're about an hour into the stream. I'm thinking we'll be going for about maybe an hour and a half longer. So we're gonna jump to a break here. That last chapter was sweet. Honestly, like that moment where he like flicks the golden drachma, Luke swats it away, not thinking anything of it, and then it turning out to be like a, oh sorry, no spoilies. Frick. I'm sorry, May. I keep forgetting that you're that when you're here you don't want the spoilers because you're still in the first book. I apologize. All you need to know, Luke smacks a golden drachma away at some point. No context. No context. Oh, heck yeah. The kitty does make it more rad. At least rad to the 2nd power. Lucas, do the math. What's rad to the 2nd power times epic? Divided by Pog. It's rad to the second power times epic divided by pog. What you got? I invite anybody to do the math. Is what? Oh, I know. Again, I'm sorry, May. Times epic is marvelous divided by pog is 5 head. What? 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 I do not understand. But listen, I'm just gonna take your word for it. Well done. Bravo. But honestly, yeah, May, I am sorry. I won't do any spoilers. Normally I talk about like the previous chapter during this little in-between time, but instead I'll just jump straight to the I'll jump straight to the break. Sorry, my mouth malfunctioned. Too smart. Too big of a brain. The brain is too big. It will burst. It will go kablooey. Alright, dudes. Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and jump to the break. It's about 10:07 right now. So I'll aim to be back no later than 10:15. Or 15 after the hour. Oh, no. Thanks, dude. I try to be a cute little goon. Cute little goober. Okay. I'm gonna jump to the break. Let's as always, I encourage everybody to stand up from your seats, your seating arrangement, stretch a little bit. Your body will thank you. It'll be like, oh my goodness, thank you so much. Because I know my body does that. It goes, yo, Mitch, thanks for stretching. You're a good dude. Get up, go ahead and get like refreshments, use the bathroom, watch like a little YouTube video, watch Donkey's new video or something. And we'll be back in no time. All right. Much love. I love all you, my wildflowers. Keep on swaying and don't go nowhere. Be back very soon. Mwah.
The boredom latches onto me. It is daylight, 81 degrees. I should be outside, enjoying the breeze. But I've been hiding in these same sheets for weeks. Well, I say to you, let's go back to bed, 'cause there are some things that are better left unsaid. Well, this medication's strong and feeling low. I guess you always have to try before you know. You say come here, but it'll be fine. Just come play with me. Ignoring reality. I said it's only a dream. but it'll be fine. Just talk to me. Ignoring reality, it's only a dream.
I don't have any friends.
But that's not true.
I don't have any friends.
But that's not true. Despite being much better than you used to be, you're still broken. You're still being fixed. You want to make people happy. You want to make up for the things you've done. You want to inspire people. You want to be better.
So get on it.
People can change. You still feel the guilt. 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 You want to rustle somebody's jimmies. 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 You may have messed up in the past, but you aren't a lost cause. Even if you don't see it, you inspire others. You may have messed up in the past, but you aren't a lost cause. Even if you don't see it, you inspire others.
So get on it.
People can change. You're still broken. You're still being fixed. People can change. You want to be better. People can change. You're still broken. You're still being fixed. People can change. You want to be better.
So get on it.
Get on it. What's up, dudes? I'm back. It is I, the merriest of Mitches. Good to be back. Hope everybody had a good break. It's time to read, dude. I don't know. Are you guys ready? I'm wanting to just jump right in. I'm wanting to just get on and get started. But I do want to know. Or did you guys have a good break? Did you run into, like, I don't know. did something crazy happen during your break? Nothing crazy happened in mine. I did my usual stuff. I stretched. I drank some water. I made water. You know, all the things that one does during a break. I did, and it was good. It was a fun time. It was relaxing and refreshing. Yo, what's up, Lucas? Yo. Playing an awesomer game you gotta try? Well, if it's awesomer, then heck. Armello. Armello? I don't think I've heard of it. Is it on Steam? Armello. Whoa. Super freaking tight. Really cool indie game. It looks neat from what I can tell. A digital board game? I can get down with that. The art for it is tight. Oh, I've actually seen this before. Yeah. I haven't played it yet, but I remember seeing it on the Steam store and being like, ooh, ooh. You get $1,200 worth of games for $30? Excuse me? Oh, I gotcha. See if the Black Lives Matter Humble Bundle deal is still up. Dang. Yeah, dude, I haven't checked Humble Bundle in ages. Definitely send that link my way, please. Please, good sir. Yeah, I remember in like junior year of high school, my history teacher told us all about Humble Bundle. He was like, guys, you know that there's this thing called Humble Bundle? Right now they've got a thing going on where we can all get Civilization 5. And so like he asked us all if we all got Civilization 5, that we would all play it in history class for Fridays. And it was tight, dude. We all just played Civ 5 in history class, which honestly is a good idea. I mean, like everybody in schools have computers now, right? Nice. It was the deal of the year for sure. Faux show, dude. Yeah. I'll definitely be looking for that link, man. Dude, I think it's the funniest thing. My history teacher told me about Humble Bundle. That year I had some cool teachers. History teacher was tight. English teacher was awesome. I actually knew her for a long time. And the logic teacher was the bomb. He was the best of the bunch. What is this? Kingwin. What? Is this real? Yeah, he is pretty cool. I wonder how he's doing nowadays. Dude, what the heck? It's taken like the whole price of the game off. How is it $1.77? Oh my god, I'm very confused. How does it work? And it is legal, correct? Keys in Bolka's game suppliers. It's like an eBay for game keys. That can be a thing? What? Strange. Well, hey, I don't know. I may need like some more explanation of how it works, but if it's legit, dude, that's sick. Talking about games, what do you think about 2048? Epic game, not gonna lie. Right on. 2048. I don't know if I've looked much into that one. 2048 game. What? Hang on, guys, hang on. This is what it came up with. Is this what you're is this what you're talking about? Is this actually it? What? Sorry, I was expecting, for some reason I was thinking it was like a future like cyberpunk, like, you know, like something along those lines. I did not expect this. These are the arrow keys. Oh. Whoa. I don't know. I don't know if I'm doing this right or not, but hey, I'm doing something with it. Is there strategy to this, or do you just kind of like, what if I just mash the keys? too good at this, dude. Oh, I see. Yeah, frick. The further you go, it definitely gets harder. Dang, what? There's math in this? Get it out of my sight. Get it out of my sight. I will not have this math game. I will not be tricked into doing math. May, how could you do this to me? Dodge 2048. Is that something different? Dodge 2048. Oh, it's Doge 2048. I see. So this is how you will trick me into doing math. This is how. What the heck, dude? What is this? Oh yeah. Oh yeah, dude. Too good. Oh, woo. Yeah. Dude, I'm literally just mashing random keys. Oh man. Made it pretty far. It's pretty good. Got 1,300 points. Okay, enough distractions. We need to get into this book. Hey, no, I was just joking. That does seem like a cool math game. And honest to goodness, sorry, I know I made a joke of it. I think that math can be cool, and that there are cool games that help with that. I know, I'm a big fan of like edutainment. It's some good stuff. Oh yes, I'm the realest of gamers. Maybe not a gaming legend, but a gaming guy nonetheless. Okay. Alright, May, I am gonna go ahead and get into the reading, so go ahead and mute it if you don't want the spoilers. I mean, the context might not make sense regardless, so if you want, you can listen in, but viewer beware. If you don't want spoilers for the Sea of Monsters, then, you know, definitely mute the stream. All right, guys, let's do this. Oh, heck yeah. I think I remember this chapter. The title is quite good. Alright. This is Percy Jackson and the Sea of Monsters by Rick Riordan. 18. The Party Ponies Invade. 1-on-1, I challenged Luke. What are you afraid of? Luke curled his lip. The soldiers who were about to kill us hesitated, waiting for his order. Before he could say anything, Agrius, the bear man, burst onto the deck, leading a flying horse. It was the first pure black Pegasus I'd ever seen. With wings like a giant raven, the Pegasus mare bucked and whinnied. I could understand her thoughts. She was calling Agrius and Luke some names so bad Chiron would have washed her muzzle out with saddle soap. Sir, Agrius called, dodging the Pegasus hoof. Your steed is ready. Luke kept his eyes on me. I told you last summer, Percy, he said. You can't bait me into a fight. And you keep avoiding one, I noted. Scared your warriors will see you get whipped? Luke glanced at his men, and he saw I'd trapped him. If he backed down now, he would look weak. If he fought me, he'd lose valuable time chasing after Clarice. For my part, the best I could hope for was to distract him, giving my friends a chance to escape. If anybody could think of a plan to get them out of here, Annabeth could. On the downside, I knew how good Luke was at sword fighting. "I'll kill you quickly," he decided, and raised his weapon. Backbiter was a foot longer than my own sword. Its blade glinted with an evil gray and gold light, where the human steel had been melded with celestial bronze. I could almost feel the blade fighting against itself, like two opposing magnets bound together. I didn't know how the blade had been made, but I sensed a tragedy. Someone had died in the process. Luke whistled to one of his men, who threw him a round leather and bronze shield. He grinned at me wickedly. "Luke," Annabeth said, "at least give him a shield." "Sorry, Annabeth," he said. "You bring your own equipment to this party." The shield was a problem. Fighting two-handed with just a sword gives you more power, but fighting one-handed with a shield gives you better defense and versatility. There are more moves, more options, more ways to kill. I thought back to Chiron, who told me to stay at camp no matter what, and learn to fight. Now I was going to pay for not listening to him. Luke lunged and almost killed me on the first try. His sword went under my arm, slashing through my shirt and grazing my ribs. I jumped back, then counterattacked with Riptide, but Luke slammed my blade away with his shield. "My Percy," Luke chided, "you're out of practice." He came at me again with a swipe to the head. I parried, returned with a thrust. He sidestepped easily. The cut on my ribs stung. My heart was racing. When Luke lunged again, I jumped backward into the swimming pool and felt a surge of strength. I spun underwater, creating a funnel cloud, and blasted out of the deep end, straight at Luke's face. The force of the water knocked him down, spluttering and blinded, but before I could strike, he rolled aside and was on his feet again. I attacked and sliced off the edge of his shield, but that didn't even faze him. He dropped to a crouch and jabbed at my legs. Suddenly my thigh was on fire. With a pain so intense, I collapsed. My jeans were ripped above the knee. I was hurt. I didn't know how badly. Luke hacked downward, and I rolled behind a deck chair. I tried to stand, but my leg wouldn't take the weight. "Percy!" Grover bleated. I rolled again as Luke's sword slashed the deck chair in half, metal pipes and all. I clawed toward the swimming pool, trying hard not to black out. I'd never make it. Luke knew it, too. He advanced slowly, smiling. The edge of his sword was tinged with red. One thing I want you to watch before you die, Percy." He looked at the bear man Aureus, who was still holding Annabeth and Grover by the necks. "You can eat your dinner now, Aureus. Bon appetit." The bear man lifted my friends and bared his teeth. That's when all Hades broke loose. A red-feathered arrow sprouted from Aureus's mouth. With a surprised look on his hairy face, he crumbled to the deck. "Brother!" Agrius wailed. He let the Pegasus's reins go slack, just long enough for the black steed to kick him in the head and fly away free over Miami Bay. For a split second, Luke's guards were too stunned to do anything except watch the bear twins' bodies dissolve into smoke. Then, There was a wild chorus of war cries and hooves thundering against metal. A dozen centaurs charged out of the main stairwell.
Ponies!
Tyson cried with delight. My mind had trouble processing everything I saw. Chiron was among the crowd, but his relatives were almost nothing like him. There were centaurs with black, Arabian stallion bodies, others with gold, palomino coats, others with orange and white spots like paint horses. Some wore brightly colored t-shirts with day-glow letters that said, Party Ponies, South Florida Chapter. Some were armed with bows, some with baseball bats, some with paintball guns. One had his face painted like a Comanche warrior, and was waving a large orange styrofoam hand, making a big number 1. Another was bare-chested and painted entirely green. A third had googly-eye glasses with the eyeballs bouncing around on slinky coils, and one of those baseball caps with soda can and straw attachments on either side. They exploded onto the deck with such ferocity and color that for a moment even Luke was stunned. I couldn't tell whether they had come to celebrate or attack. Apparently both. As Luke was raising his sword to rally his troops, a centaur shot a custom-made arrow with a leather boxing glove on the end. It smacked Luke in the face and sent him crashing into the swimming pool. His warriors scattered. I couldn't blame them. Facing the hooves of a rearing stallion is scary enough, but when it's a centaur, armed with a bow and whooping it up in a soda-drinking hat, even the bravest warrior would retreat.
Come and
Get some! Yelled one of the party ponies. They let loose with their paintball guns. A wave of blue and yellow exploded against Luke's warriors, blinding them and splattering them from head to toe. They tried to run, only to slip and fall. Chiron galloped toward Annabeth and Grover, neatly plucking them up off the deck and depositing them on his back. I tried to get up, but my wounded leg still felt like it was on fire. Luke was crawling out of the pool. "Attack, you fools!" he ordered his troop. Somewhere down below deck, a large alarm bell thrummed. I knew any second we would be swamped by Luke's reinforcements. Already his warriors were getting over their surprise, coming at the centaurs with swords and spears drawn. Tyson slapped half a dozen of them aside, knocking them over the guardrail into Miami Bay. But more warriors were coming up the stairs.
Withdraw, brethren,
Chiron said.
You won't get away with this, horseman,
Luke shouted. He raised his sword, but got smacked in the face with another boxing glove arrow, and sat down hard in a deck chair. A Palomino centaur hoisted me onto his back. "Dude, get your big friend!" "Tyson!" I yelled. "Come on!" Tyson dropped the 2 warriors he was about to tie into a knot and jogged after us. He jumped onto the centaur's back. "Dude!" The centaur groaned, almost buckling under Tyson's weight. "Do the words low-carb diet mean anything to you?" Luke's warriors were organizing themselves into a phalanx. But by the time they were ready to advance, the centaurs had galloped to the edge of the deck and fearlessly jumped the guardrail, as if it were a steeplechase and not 10 stories above the ground. I was sure we were going to die. We plummeted toward the docks, but the centaurs hit the asphalt with hardly a jolt and galloped off, whooping and yelling taunts at the Princess Andromeda as we raced into the streets of downtown Miami. I have no idea what the Miamians thought as we galloped by. Streets and buildings began to blur as the centaurs picked up speed. It felt as if space were compacting, as if each centaur step took us miles and miles. In no time, we'd left the city behind. We raced through marshy fields of high grass and ponds and stunted trees. Finally, we found ourselves in a trailer park at the edge of the lake. The trailers were all horse trailers, tricked out with televisions and mini refrigerators and mosquito netting. We were in a centaur camp. "Dude," said a Pawnee pony as he unloaded his gear. "Did you see that bear guy?" He was all like, "Whoa, I have an arrow in my mouth." The centaur with the googly eye glasses laughed.
That was awesome. Head slam.
The two centaurs charged at each other full force and knocked heads, then went staggering off in different directions with crazy grins on their faces. Chiron sighed. He set Annabeth and Grover down on a picnic basket next to me.
I really wish my cousins wouldn't slam their heads together. They don't have the brain cells to spare.
Chiron, I said, still stunned by the fact that he was here. You saved us. He gave me a dry smile.
Well now, I couldn't very well let you die, especially since you've cleared my name.
But how did you know where we were? Annabeth asked.
Advanced planning, my dear. I figured you'd wash up near Miami if you made it out of the Sea of Monsters. Almost everything strange washes up near Miami.
Gee, thanks, Grover mumbled.
No, Chiron said. I didn't mean... Oh, never mind. I am glad to see you, my young satyr. The point is, I was able to eavesdrop on Percy's Iris message and trace the signal. Iris and I have been friends for centuries. I asked her to alert me to any important communications in this area. It then took no effort to convince my cousins to ride to your aid. As you see, centaurs can travel quite fast when they wish to. Distance for us is not the same as distance for humans.
I looked over at the campfire, where 3 party ponies were teaching Tyson how to operate a paintball gun. I hoped they knew what they were getting into. So what now? I asked Chiron. We just let Luke sail away? He's got Kronos aboard that ship. Or parts of him, anyway. Chiron knelt, carefully folding his front legs underneath him. He opened the medicine pouch on his belt and started to treat my wounds. I'm afraid, Percy, that today has been something of a draw. We didn't have the strength of numbers to take that ship. Luke was not organized enough to pursue us. Nobody won.
But we got the fleece, Annabeth said. Clarice is on her way back to camp right now.
Chiron nodded, though he still looked uneasy.
You're all true heroes. And as soon as we get Percy fixed up, you must return to Half-Blood Hill. The centaur shall carry you.
You're coming too? I asked.
Oh yes, Percy. I'll be relieved to get home. My brethren here do not appreciate Dean Martin's music. Besides, I must have some words with Mr. D. There's the rest of the summer to plan. So much training to do. And I want to see... I'm curious about the fleece.
I didn't know exactly what he meant, but it made me worried about what Luke had said.
I was going to let you take the fleece once I was done with it.
Had he just been lying? I'd learned with Kronos there was usually a plan within a plan. The Titan Lord wasn't called the Crooked One for nothing. He had ways of getting people to do what he wanted, without them ever realizing his true intentions. Over by the campfire,
Tyson let loose with his paintball gun. A blue projectile splattered against one of the centaurs, hurling him backward into the lake. The centaur came up grinning, covered in swamp muck and blue paint, and gave Tyson 2 thumbs up.
Annabeth,
Chiron said,
perhaps you and Grover would go supervise Tyson and my cousins before they, teach each other too many bad habits.
Annabeth met his eye. Some kind of understanding passed between them. Sure, Chiron, Annabeth said. Come on, goat boy.
But I don't like paintball.
Yes, you do. She hoisted Grover to his hooves and led him off toward the campfire. Chiron finished bandaging my leg.
Percy, I had a talk with Annabeth on the way here. A talk about the prophecy.
Uh-oh, I thought.
It wasn't her fault, I said.
Oh, it wasn't her fault, I said. I made her tell me. His eyes flickered with irritation. I was sure he was going to chew me out, but then his look turned to weariness.
I suppose I could not expect to keep it a secret forever.
So, am I the one in the prophecy? Chiron tucked his bandages back into his pouch.
I wish I knew, Percy. You're not 16 yet. For now, we must simply train and leave the future to the fates.
The fates. I hadn't thought about those old ladies in a long time, but as soon as Chiron mentioned them, something clicked. That's what it meant, I said. Chiron frowned.
That's what meant?
Last summer, the omen from the fates. When I saw them snip somebody's life string, I thought it meant I was going to die right away. But it's worse than that. I got something to do with your prophecy. The death they foretold is going to happen when I'm 16. Chiron's tail whisked nervously in the grass.
My boy, you can't be sure of that. We don't even know if the prophecy is about you.
But there isn't any other half-blood child of the big 3.
That we know of.
And Kronos is rising. He's going to destroy Mount Olympus.
He will try,
Chiron agreed.
And Western civilization along with it. If we don't stop him. But we will stop him. You will not be alone in that fight.
I knew he was trying to make me feel better, but I remembered what Annabeth had told me. It would come down to one hero, one decision that would save or destroy the West. And I felt sure the fates had been giving me some kind of warning about that. Something terrible was going to happen, either to me or to somebody I was close to. I'm just a kid, Chiron, I said miserably. What good is one lousy hero against something like Kronos? Chiron managed to smile.
What good is one lousy hero? Joshua Lawrence Chamberlain said something like that to me once. Just before he single-handedly changed the course of your civil war.
He pulled an arrow straight from his quiver and turned the razor-sharp tip so it glinted in the firelight.
Celestial bronze, Percy. An immortal weapon. What would happen if you shot this at a human?
Nothing, I said. It would pass right through.
That's right, he said. Humans do not exist on the same level as the immortals. They can't even be hurt by our weapons. But you, Percy, you are part god, part human. You live in both worlds. You can be harmed by both, and you can affect both. That is what makes heroes so special. You carry the hopes of humanity into the realm of eternal. Monsters never die. They are reborn from the chaos and the barbarism that is always bubbling underneath civilization, the very stuff that makes Kronos stronger. They must be defeated again and again, kept at bay. Heroes embody that struggle. You fight the battles humanity must win, every generation, in order to stay human. Do you understand?
I don't know.
You must try, Percy. Because whether or not you are the child of the prophecy, Kronos thinks you might be. And after today, he will finally despair of turning you to his side. That is the only reason he hasn't killed you yet, you know. As soon as he's sure he cannot use you, he will destroy you.
You talk like you know him. Chiron pursed his lips.
I do know him.
I stared at him. I sometimes forget just how old Chiron is. Is that why Mr. D blamed you when the tree was poisoned? Why you said some people don't trust you?
Indeed.
But Chiron, I mean, come on. Why would they think you'd ever betray the camp for Kronos? Chiron's eyes were deep brown,
full of thousands of years of sadness. Percy, remember your training. Remember your study of mythology. What is my connection to the Titan Lord?
I tried to think, but I'd always gotten my mythology mixed up. Even now, when it was so real, so important to my own life, I had trouble keeping all the names and facts straight. I shook my head. You, owe Kronos a favor for something? He spared your life.
Percy,
Chiron said, his voice impossibly soft.
The Titan Kronos is my father.
Good night, May. Don't know if I caught you before you headed off, but sweet dreams.
19. The chariot race ends with a bang.
We arrived in Long Island just after Clarice, thanks to the Centaur's travel powers. I rode on Chiron's back, but we didn't talk much, especially not about Kronos. I knew it had been difficult for Chiron to tell me. I didn't want to push him with more questions. I mean, I've met plenty of embarrassing parents, but Kronos, the evil Titan Lord who wanted to destroy the Western civilization, not the kind of dad you invited to school for career day. When we got to camp, the Centaurs were anxious to meet Dionysus. They'd heard he threw some really wild parties, but they were disappointed. The wine god was in no mood to celebrate as the whole camp gathered at the top of Half-Blood Hill. The camp had been through a hard 2 weeks. The arts and crafts cabin had burned to the ground from an attack by a Draco Ionius, which, as near as I could figure, was Latin for really big lizard with breath that blows stuff the heck up. The big house's rooms were overflowing with wounded. The kids in the Apollo cabin were the best healers. The kids in the Apollo cabin, who were the best healers, had been working overtime performing first aid. Everybody looked weary and battered as we crowded around Thalia's tree. The moment Clarice draped the golden fleece over the lowest bough, the moonlight seemed to brighten, turning from gray to liquid silver, A cool breeze rustled in the branches and rippled through the grass all the way into the valley. Everything came into sharper focus. The glow of the fireflies down in the woods, the smell of the strawberry fields, the sound of the waves on the beach. Gradually, the needles on the pine trees started turning from brown to green. Everybody cheered. It was happening slowly, but there could be no doubt. The fleece's magic was seeping into the tree, filling it with new power and expelling the poison. Chiron ordered a 24/7 guard duty on the hilltop, at least until he could find an appropriate monster to protect the fleece. He said he'd place an ad in Olympus Weekly right away. In the meantime, Clarice was carried on her cabin mate's shoulders down to the amphitheater, where she was honored with a laurel wreath and a lot of celebrating around the campfire. Nobody gave Annabeth or me a second look. It was as if we'd never left. In a way, I guess that was the best thank you anyone could give us, because if they admitted we'd snuck out of camp to do the quest, they'd have to expel us. And really, I didn't want the attention anymore. It felt good to be just one of the other campers for once. Later that night, as we were roasting s'mores and listening to the Stoll brothers tell us ghost stories about an evil king who was eaten alive by demonic breakfast pastries, Clarice shoved me from behind and whispered in my ear, "Just because you were cool one time, Jackson, don't think you're off the hook with Ares. I'm still waiting for the right opportunity to pulverize you." I gave her a grudging smile. "What?" she demanded. "Nothing," I said. "Just good to be home." The next morning, after the party ponies headed back to Florida, Chiron made a surprise announcement. The chariot races would go ahead as scheduled. We'd all figured they were history now that Tantalus was gone, but completing them did feel like the right thing to do, especially now that Chiron was back at the camp, and that the camp was safe. Tyson wasn't too keen on the idea of getting back in a chariot after our first experience, but he was happy to let me team up with Annabeth. I would drive, Annabeth would defend, and Tyson would act as our pit crew. While I worked with the horses, Tyson fixed up Athena's chariot, added a whole bunch of special modifications. We spent the next 2 days training like crazy. Annabeth and I agreed that if we won, the prize of no chores for the rest of the month would be split between our 2 cabins. Since Athena had more campers, they would get most of the time, which was fine by me. I didn't care about the prize. I just wanted to win. The night before the race, I stayed late at the stables. I was talking to our horses, giving them one final brushing, when somebody right behind me said, "Fine animals, horses. Wish I'd thought of them." A middle-aged guy in a postal carrier outfit was leaning against... Fine animals, horses. Fine animals, horses. Wish I'd thought of them." A middle-aged guy in a postal carrier outfit was leaning against the stable door. He was slim, with curly black hair under his white pith helmet, and he had a mailbag slung over his shoulder. "Hermes," I stammered. "Hello, Percy. Didn't recognize me without my jogging clothes?" I wasn't sure whether I was supposed to kneel or buy stamps from him, or what. Then it occurred to me why he must be here. "Oh, listen, Lord Hermes, about Luke." The god arched an eyebrow. We saw him all right." We saw him all right," I said. "But you weren't able to talk sense into him." "Well, we kind of tried to kill each other in a duel to the death. I see. You tried the diplomatic approach. I'm really sorry. I mean, you gave us those awesome gifts and everything. And I know you wanted Luke to come back. But he's turned bad. Really bad. He said he feels like you abandoned him. I waited for Hermes to get angry. I figured he'd turn me into a hamster or something. And I did not want to spend any more time as a rodent. Instead, he just sighed. Do you ever feel your father abandon you, Percy? Oh man. I wanted to say, only a few hundred times a day. I hadn't spoken to Poseidon since last summer. I'd never even been to his underwater palace. And then there was the whole thing with Tyson. No warning, no explanation. Just boom. You have a brother. You'd think that deserved a little heads-up phone call or something? The more I thought about it, the angrier I got. I realized I did want recognition for the quest I'd completed, but not from the other campers. I wanted my dad to say something, to notice me. Hermes readjusted the mailbag on his shoulder. Percy, the hardest part about being a god is that you must often act indirectly, especially when it comes to your own children. If we were to intervene every time children had a problem, well, that would only create more problems and more resentment. But I believe if you give it some thought, you will see that Poseidon has been paying attention to you. He has answered your prayers. I can only hope that someday Luke may realize the same about me, whether you feel like you succeeded or not. You reminded Luke who he was. You spoke to him. I tried to kill him. Hermes shrugged. Families are messy. Immortal families are eternally messy. Sometimes the best we can do is remind each other that we're related, for better or for worse. And try to keep the maiming and killing to a minimum. It didn't sound like much of a recipe for the perfect family. Then again, as I thought about my quest, I realized maybe Hermes was right. Poseidon had sent the hippocampi to help us. He'd given me powers over the sea that I'd never known about before. And there was Tyson. Had Poseidon brought us together on purpose? How many times had Tyson saved my life this summer? In the distance, the conch horn sounded, signaling curfew. You should get to bed, Hermes said. I've helped you get into quite enough trouble this summer already. I really only came to make this delivery. A delivery? I am the messenger of gods, Percy. I am the messenger of the gods, Percy. He took an electronic signature pad from his mailbag, handed it to me. Sign there, please. I picked up the stylus before realizing it was entwined with a pair of tiny green snakes. Ah! I dropped the pad. Ouch, said George. Really, Percy? Martha scolded. Would you want to be dropped to the floor of a horse stable? Oh, sorry. I didn't much like touching snakes, but I picked up the pad and the stylus again. Martha and George wriggled under my fingers, forming a kind of pencil grip, like the ones my special ed teacher made me use in 2nd grade. Did you bring me a rat? George asked. No, I said. We didn't find any. What about a guinea pig? George, Martha chided. Don't tease the boy. I signed my name and gave the pad back to Hermes. In exchange, He handed me a sea blue envelope. My fingers trembled. Even before I opened it, I could tell it was from my father. I could sense his power in the cool blue paper, as if the envelope itself had been folded out of an ocean wave. "Good luck tomorrow," Hermes said. "Fine team of heroes you have there. Though you'll excuse me if I root for the Hermes cabin." "And don't be too discouraged when you read it, dear," Martha told me. "He does have your interests at heart." "What do you mean?" I asked.
"Don't mind her," George said. "And next time, remember, snakes work for tips."
"Enough, you two," Hermes said. "Goodbye, Percy. For now." Small white wings sprouted from his pith helmet. He began to glow, and I knew enough about the gods to avert my eyes before he revealed his true divine form. With a brilliant white flash, he was gone, and I was alone with the horses. I stared at the blue envelope in my hands. It was addressed in strong but elegant handwriting that I'd seen once before, on a package Poseidon had sent me last summer. Percy Jackson, C.A., Camp Half-Blood, Farm Road 3141, Long Island, New York 11954. An actual letter from my father. Maybe he would tell me I'd done a good job getting the fleece. He'd explain about Tyson, or apologize for not talking to me sooner. There were so many things that I wanted that letter to say. I opened the envelope and unfolded the paper. 2 simple words were printed in the middle of the page. Brace yourself. The next morning, everybody was buzzing about the chariot race, though they kept glancing nervously toward the sky, like they expected to see Stymphalian birds gathering. None did. It was a beautiful summer day, with blue sky and plenty of sunshine. The camp had started to look the way it should. The meadows were green and lush. The white columns gleamed on the Greek buildings. Dryads played happily in the woods. And I was miserable. I'd been lying awake all night, thinking about Poseidon's warning. Brace yourself. I mean, he goes to the trouble of writing a letter, and he writes 2 words. Martha the Snake had told me not to feel disappointed. Maybe Poseidon had a reason for being so vague. Maybe he didn't know exactly what he was warning me about, but he sensed something big was about to happen. Something that could completely knock me off my feet unless I was prepared. It was hard, but I tried to turn my thoughts to the race. As Annabeth and I drove onto the track, I couldn't help admiring the work Tyson had done on Athena's chariot. The carriage gleamed with bronze reinforcements. The wheels were realigned with magical suspension, so we glided along with hardly a bump. The rigging for the horses was so perfectly balanced that the team turned at the slightest tug of the reins. Tyson had also made us 2 javelins, each with 3 buttons on the shaft. The first button primed the javelin to explode on impact, releasing razor wire that would tangle and shred the opponent's wheels. The second button produced a blunt, but still very painful, bronze spearhead, designed to knock a driver out of his carriage. The third button brought up a grappling hook that could be used to lock onto an enemy's chariot or push it away. I figured we were in pretty good shape for the race, but Tyson still warned me to be careful. The other chariot teams had plenty of tricks up their togas.
"Here,"
he said just before the race began. He handed me a wristwatch. There wasn't anything special about it, just a white and silver clock face, a black leather strap. But as soon as I saw it, I realized that this is what I'd seen him tinkering on all summer. I didn't usually like to wear watches. Who cared what time it was? I'd seen him tinkering. Oh, but I couldn't say no to Tyson. Thanks, man. I put it on and found it was surprisingly light and comfortable. I could hardly tell I was wearing it.
Didn't finish it in time for the trip,
Tyson mumbled.
Sorry.
Hey, man, no big deal.
If you need protection in the race,
He advised.
hit the button.
Ah, okay. I didn't see how keeping time was going to help a whole lot, but I was touched that Tyson was concerned. I promised him I'd remember the watch. And hey, Tyson. He looked at me. I wanted to say, well, I tried to figure out how to apologize for getting embarrassed about him before the quest, for telling everyone he wasn't my real brother. It wasn't easy to find those words.
I know what you will tell me.
Tyson said, looking ashamed.
Poseidon didn't care for me after all.
Well,
He sent you to help me. Just what I asked for.
I blinked. You asked Poseidon for me?
For a friend.
Tyson said, twisting his shirt in his hands.
Young Cyclopses grow up alone on the streets. Learn to make things out of scraps. Learn to survive.
But that's so cruel. He shook his head earnestly.
Makes us appreciate blessings. Not to be greedy and mean and fat like Polyphemus. But I got scared. Monsters chased me so much. And clawed me sometimes.
The scars on your back. A tear welled in his eye.
Sphinx. Sphinx on 72nd Street. Big bully. I prayed to Daddy for help. Soon, the people at Merryweather found me. Met you. Biggest blessing ever. Sorry I said Poseidon was mean. He sent me a brother.
I stared at the watch Tyson had made me. Percy! Annabeth called. Come on! Chiron was at the starting line, ready to blow the conch. Tyson, I said.
Go,
Tyson said.
You will win.
Yeah, okay, big guy. We'll win this one for you. I climbed on board the chariot, got into position just as Chiron blew the starting signal. The horses knew what to do. We shot down the track so fast, I would have fallen out if my arms hadn't been wrapped in the leather reins. Annabeth held on tight to the rail. The wheels glided beautifully. We took the first turn, a full chariot length ahead of Clarice, who was busy trying to fight off a javelin attack from the Stoll brothers in the Hermes chariot. We've got him, I yelled, but I spoke too soon. Incoming! Annabeth yelled. She threw her first javelin in grappling hook mode, knocking away a lead-weighted net that would have entangled us both. Apollo's chariot had come up on our flank. Before Annabeth could rearm? Before Annabeth could rearm herself, the Apollo warrior threw a javelin into our right wheel. The javelin shattered, but not before snapping some of our spokes. Our chariot lurched and wobbled. I was sure the wheel would collapse altogether, but we somehow kept going. I urged the horses to keep the speed up. We were now neck and neck with Apollo. Hephaestus was coming up close behind. Ares and Hermes were falling behind, riding side by side as Clarice went sword on javelin with Connor Stoll. If we took one more hit to our wheel, I knew we would capsize. "You're mine!" the driver from Apollo yelled. He was a first-year camper. I didn't recognize his name, but he sure was confident. "Yeah, right!" Annabeth yelled back. She picked up her second javelin, a real risk considering we still had one full lap to go, and threw it at the Apollo driver. Her aim was perfect. The javelin grew a heavy spear point, just as it caught the driver in the chest, knocking him against his teammate, sending them both toppling out of their chariot in a backward somersault. The horses felt the reins go slack and went crazy, riding straight for the crowd. Campers scrambled for cover as the horses leapt the corner of the bleachers, and the golden chariot flipped over. The horses galloped back toward their stable, dragging the upside-down chariot behind them. I held our own chariot together through the second turn. Despite the groaning of the right wheel, we passed the starting line and thundered into our final lap. The axle creaked and moaned. The wobbling wheel was making us lose speed, even though the horses were responding to my every command, running like a well-oiled machine. The Hephaestus team was still gaining. Beckendorf grinned as he pressed a button on his command console. Steel cables shot out of the front of his mechanical horses, wrapping around our back rail. Our chariot shuddered as Beckendorf's winch system started working, pulling us backward while Beckendorf pulled himself forward. Annabeth cursed and drew her knife. She hacked at the cables, but they were too thick. "Can't cut them!" she yelled. The Hephaestus chariot was now dangerously close, their horses about to trample us underfoot. "Switch with me," I told Annabeth. "Take the reins." "But trust me." She pulled herself to the front and grabbed the reins. I turned, trying hard to keep my footing, and uncapped Riptide. I slashed down, and the cables snapped like kite strings. We lurched forward, but Beckendorf's driver just swung his chariot to our left and pulled up next to us. Beckendorf drew his sword. He slashed at Annabeth, and I parried the blade away. We were coming up on the last turn. We'd never make it. I needed to disable the Hephaestus chariot and get it out of the way, but I had to protect Annabeth too. Just because Beckendorf was a nice guy didn't mean he wouldn't send us both to the infirmary if we let our guard down. We were neck and neck now, Clarice coming up from behind, making up for lost time. "See ya, Percy," Beckendorf yelled. "Here's a little parting gift." He threw a leather pouch into our chariot. It stuck to the floor immediately and began billowing green smoke. "Greek fire!" Annabeth yelled. I cursed. I'd heard stories about what Greek fire could do. I figured we had maybe 10 seconds before it exploded. "Get rid of it!" Annabeth shouted, but I couldn't. Hephaestus's chariot was still alongside, waiting until the last second to make sure their little present blew up. Beckendorf was keeping me busy with his sword. If I let my guard down long enough to deal with the Greek fire, Annabeth would get sliced, and we'd crash anyway. I tried to kick the leather pouch away with my foot, but I couldn't. It was stuck fast. Then I remembered the watch. I didn't know how it could help, but I managed to punch the stopwatch button. Instantly, the watch changed. It expanded, the metal rim spiraling outward like an old-fashioned camera shutter. A leather strap wrapping around my forearm until I was holding a round war shield, 4 feet wide. The inside, soft leather. The outside, polished bronze, engraved with designs I didn't have time to examine. All I knew, Tyson had come through. I raised the shield, and Beckendorf's sword clanged against it. His blade shattered. "What?" he shouted. "How?" He didn't have time to say more, because I knocked him in the chest with my new shield and sent him flying out of his chariot, tumbling in the dirt. I was about to use Riptide to slash at the driver when Annabeth yelled, "Percy!" The Greek fire was shooting sparks. I shoved the tip of my sword under the leather pouch and flipped it up like a spatula. The firebomb dislodged and flew into the Hephaestus chariot at the driver's feet. He yelped. In a split second, the driver made the right choice. He dove out of the chariot, which careened away and exploded in green flames. The metal horses seemed to short-circuit. They turned and dragged the burning wreckage back toward Clarice and the Stoll brothers, who had to swerve to avoid it. Annabeth pulled the reins for the last turn. I held on, sure we would capsize, but somehow she brought us through and spurred the horses across the finish line. The crowd roared. Once the chariot stopped, our friends mobbed us. They started chanting our names, but Annabeth yelled over the noise, "Hold up! Listen! It wasn't just us!" The crowd didn't want to be quiet, but Annabeth made herself heard. "We couldn't have done it without somebody else. We couldn't have won this race, or gotten the fleece, or saved Grover, or anything. We owe our lives to Tyson. Sorry, we couldn't have done it without somebody else. We couldn't have won this race, or gotten the fleece, or saved Grover, or anything. We owe our lives to Tyson, Percy's brother," I said loud enough for everybody to hear. "Tyson, my baby brother." Tyson blushed. The crowd cheered. Annabeth planted a kiss on my cheek. The roaring got a lot louder after that. The entire Athena cabin lifted me and Annabeth and Tyson onto their shoulders and carried us toward the winner's platform, where Chiron was waiting to bestow the laurel wreaths. Yeah, Dad. We're on the last chapter, actually. Whoo! Booyah! Let's go, last chapter. Yeah, guys, we're on 20. Yeah, I think I'm gonna keep going. Sorry, I'm freaking excited. Yeah, dude, we have like 6 pages left. Let's do this thing. "20. The fleece works its magic too well." That afternoon was one of the happiest I'd ever spent at camp, which maybe goes to show you never know when your world is about to be rocked to pieces. Grover announced that he'd be able to spend the rest of his summer with us before resuming his quest for Pan. His bosses at the Council of Cloven Elders were so impressed that he hadn't gotten himself killed and had cleared the way for future searchers that they granted him a 2-month furlough and a new set of reed pipes. The only bad news: Grover insisted on playing those pipes all afternoon long, and his musical skills hadn't improved much. He played YMCA and the strawberry plants started going crazy, wrapping around our feet like they were trying to strangle us. I guess I couldn't blame them. Grover told me he could dissolve the empathy link between us, now that we were face to face, but I told him I'd just assume keep it, if that's okay with him. He put down his reeds and stared at me. "But if I get in trouble again, you'll be in danger. Percy, you could die." "If you get in trouble again, I want to know about it. And I'll come help you again, G-Man. I wouldn't have it any other way." In the end, he agreed not to break the link. He went back to playing YMCA for the strawberry plants. I didn't need an empathy link with the plants to know how they felt about it. Later on, during archery class, Chiron pulled me aside and told me he'd fixed my problems with Merriweather Prep. The school no longer blamed me for destroying their gymnasium. The police were no longer looking for me. "How did you manage that?" I asked. Chiron's eyes twinkled.
"I merely suggested that the mortals had something different on that day. A furnace explosion that was not your fault."
"You just said that, and they bought it?"
"I manipulated the mist. Someday, when you're ready, I'll show you how it's done."
"You mean I can go back to Merriweather next year?" Chiron raised an eyebrow.
"Oh, no. They've still expelled you. Your headmaster, Mr. Bonsai, said you had, how did he put it? Ungroovy karma that disrupted the school's educational aura. But you're not in any legal trouble, which was a relief to your mother. Oh, speaking of your mother."
He unclipped his cell phone from his quiver and handed it to me.
"It's high time you called her."
The worst part was the beginning. "Percy Jackson, what were you thinking? Do you have any idea how worried I was sneaking off to camp without permission, going on dangerous quests and scaring me half to death part?" But finally, she paused to catch her breath. "Oh, I'm just glad you're safe." That's the greatest thing about my mom. She's no good at staying angry. She tries, but it just isn't in her nature. "I'm sorry, Mom," I told her. "I won't scare you again." "Don't promise me that, Percy. You know very well it will only get worse." She tried to sound casual about it, but I could tell she was pretty shaken up. I wanted to say something to make her feel better, but I knew she was right. Being a half-blood, I would always be doing things that scared her. And as I got older, the dangers would just get greater. "I could come home for a while," I offered. No. Stay at camp. Train. Do what you need to do. Do what you need to do. But you will come home for the next school year." "Yeah, of course. If there's any school that will take me." "Oh, we'll find something, dear." My mother sighed. "Some place where they don't know us yet." As for Tyson, the campers treated him like a hero. I would have been happy to have him as my cabin mate forever. But that evening, as we were sitting on a sand dune overlooking Long Island Sound, he made an announcement that completely took me by surprise.
"Dream came from Daddy last night,"
he said.
"He wants me to visit."
I wondered if he was kidding, but Tyson really didn't know how to kid. "Poseidon sent you a dream message?" Tyson nodded.
"Wants me to go underwater for the rest of summer. Learn how to work at Cyclops' forges. He called it an
An internship?
Yeah."
I let that sink in. I'll admit, I felt a little jealous. Poseidon had never invited me underwater. But then I thought, Tyson was going? Just like that? "When would you leave?" I asked.
"No."
"Now? Like, now? Now?"
"No."
I stared out at the waves in the Long Island Sound. The water was glistening red in the sunset. "I'm happy for you, big guy," I managed. "Seriously."
"Hard to leave my new brother,"
he said with a tremble in his voice.
But I want to make things."
weapons for the camp. You will need them. Unfortunately, I knew he was right. The fleece hadn't solved all the camp's problems. Luke was still out there, gathering an army aboard the Princess Andromeda. Kronos was still reforming in his golden coffin. Eventually, we would have to fight them. You'll make the best weapons ever, I told Tyson. I held up my watch proudly. I bet they'll tell good time, too. Tyson sniffled. Brothers help each other. You're my brother, I said. No doubt about it. He patted me on the back so hard he almost knocked me down the sand dune. Then he wiped a tear from his cheek and stood to go. Use the shield well. I will, big guy. Save your life someday. The way he said it, so matter of fact, I wondered if that Cyclops eye of his could see into the future. He headed down to the beach and whistled. Rainbow, the hippocampus, burst out of the waves. I watched the two of them ride off together into the realm of Poseidon. Once they were gone, I looked down at my new wristwatch. I pressed the button, and the shield spiraled out full size. Hammered into the bronze were pictures in ancient Greek style, scenes from our adventures this summer. There was Annabeth slaying a Lastrygonian dodgeball player, me fighting the bronze bulls on Half-Blood Hill, Tyson riding Rainbow towards the Princess Andromeda, the CSS Birmingham blasting its cannons at Charybdis. I ran my hand across the picture of Tyson, battling the Hydra as he held aloft a box of monster donuts. I couldn't help feeling sad. I knew Tyson would have an awesome time under the ocean, but I'd miss everything about him. His fascination with horses, the way he could fix chariots, or crumple metal with his bare hands, or tie bad guys into knots. I'd even miss him snoring, like an earthquake in the next bunk all night. Hey, Percy. I turned. Annabeth and Grover were standing at the top of the sand dune. I guess maybe I had some sand in my eyes, because I was blinking a lot. Tyson, I told them. He had to. We know, Annabeth said softly. Chiron told us. Cyclops' forge is, Grover shuddered. I hear the cafeteria food there is terrible. Like, no enchiladas at all. Annabeth held out her hand. Come on, seaweed brain. Time for dinner. We walked back toward the dining pavilion together. Just the three of us. Like old times. A storm raged that night, but it parted around Camp Half-Blood as storms usually did. Lightning flashed against the horizon, waves pounded the shore, but not a drop fell in our valley. We were protected again, thanks to the fleece, sealed inside our magic borders. Still, my dreams were restless. I heard Kronos taunting me from the depths of Tartarus.
Polyphemus sits blindly in his cave, young hero, believing he has won a great victory. Are you any less deluded?
The Titan's cold laughter filled the darkness. Then my dream changed. I was following Tyson to the bottom of the sea, into the court of Poseidon. It was a radiant hall filled with blue light, the floor cobbled with pearls. And there, on the throne of coral, sat my father, dressed like a simple fisherman in khaki shorts and a sun-bleached t-shirt. I looked up into his tan, weathered face, his deep green eyes, and he spoke 2 words. Brace yourself. I woke with a start. There was a banging on the door. Grover flew inside without waiting for permission. "Percy!" he stammered. "Annabeth! On the hill! She!" The look in his eyes told me something was terribly wrong. Annabeth had been on guard duty that night, protecting the fleece, if something had happened. I ripped off the covers, my blood like ice water in my veins. I threw on some clothes while Grover tried to make complete sentences, but he was too stunned, too out of breath. "She's lying there! Just lying there!" I ran outside and raced across the central yard, Grover right behind me. Dawn was just breaking, but the whole camp seemed to be stirring. Word was spreading. Something huge had happened. A few campers were already making their way toward the hill, satyrs and nymphs and heroes in a weird mix of armor and pajamas. I heard the clop of horse hooves, and Chiron galloped up behind us, looking grim. "Is it true?" he asked Grover. Grover could only nod, his expression dazed. I tried to ask what was going on, but Chiron grabbed me by the arm and effortlessly lifted me onto his back. Together we thundered up Half-Blood Hill, where a small crowd had started to gather. I expected to see the fleece missing from the pine tree, but it was still there, glittering in the first light of dawn. The storm had broken, and the sky was blood red. "Curse the Titan Lord," Chiron said. "He's tricked us again, given himself another chance to control the prophecy." "What do you mean?" I asked. "The fleece," he said. "The fleece did its work too well." We galloped forward, everyone moving out of our way. There, at the base of the tree, a girl was lying unconscious. Another girl in Greek armor was kneeling next to her. Blood roared in my ears. I couldn't think straight. Annabeth had been attacked? But why was the fleece still there? The tree itself looked perfectly fine, whole and healthy, suffused with the essence of the golden fleece. "It healed the tree," Chiron said, his voice ragged. "And poison was not the only thing it purged." Then I realized Annabeth wasn't the one lying on the ground. She was the one in armor, kneeling next to the unconscious girl. When Annabeth saw us, she ran to Chiron. She just suddenly there, and..." Her eyes were streaming with tears, but I still didn't understand. I was too freaked out to make sense of it all. I leaped off Chiron's back and ran toward the unconscious girl. Chiron said, "Percy, wait!" I knelt beside her. She had short black hair and freckles across her nose. She was built like a long-distance runner, lithe and strong, and she wore clothes that were somewhere between punk and goth. A black t-shirt, black tattered jeans, and a leather jacket with buttons from a bunch of bands I'd never heard of. She wasn't a camper. I didn't recognize her from any of the cabins. And yet, I had the strangest feeling I'd seen her before. "It's true," Grover said, panting from his run up the hill. "I can't believe..." Nobody else came close to the girl. I put my hand on her forehead. Her skin was cold, but my fingertips tingled as if they were burning. She needs nectar and ambrosia, I said. She was clearly a half-blood, whether she was a camper or not. I could sense that just from one touch. I didn't understand why everyone was acting so scared. I took her by the shoulders and lifted her into a sitting position, resting her head on my shoulder. "Come on!" I yelled to the others. "What's wrong with you people? Let's get her to the big house!" No one moved, not even Chiron. They were all too stunned. Then the girl took a shaky breath. She coughed and opened her eyes. Her irises were startlingly blue, electric blue. The girl stared at me in bewilderment, shivering and wild-eyed. "Who?" "I'm Percy," I said. "You're safe now." "Strangest dream. It's okay." "Dying?" "No," I assured her. "You're okay. What's your name?" That's when I knew, even before she said it. The girl's blue eyes stared into mine, and I understood what the Golden Fleece's quest had been about. The poisoning of the tree, everything. Kronos had done it to bring another chess piece into play. Another chance to control the prophecy. Even Chiron, Annabeth, and Grover, who should have been celebrating this moment, were too shocked, thinking about what it might mean for the future. And I was holding someone who was destined to be my best friend, or possibly my worst enemy. "I am Thalia," the girl said, "daughter of Zeus." What the frick? Hang on, I do want to read the acknowledgements. Acknowledgements. Many thanks to my young beta testers, Geoffrey Cole and Travis Stoll, for reading the manuscript and making good suggestions. Egbert Baker of Yale University for his help with Ancient Greek. Nancy Galt for her able representation. My editor, Jennifer Besser, for her guidance and perseverance. The students at the many schools I've been visited for their enthusiastic support. And of course Becky, Haley, and Patrick Riordan, who make my trips to Camp Half-Blood possible. Next week, Coleman. Next week. Either that or sometime during the weekend. I'll have to see how my schedule pans out. But I know next week is going to be a lot more free than this week. Which is sick. Dang. Golly. Golly freaking. Yeah. That was good. That was so freaking good. I think the best part about it is I didn't expect to finish the book tonight. Man, what'd you guys think? I know, Coleman, you're new to the series, so I definitely want to hear your thoughts on it. Gosh, dude. I forgot about that, dude. It should have been clear to me when I read the dang name of the chapter. The Golden Fleece works too well. Yo.
Dang, Thalia's a bad. I don't know. She's a. But I'm trying to find a way to say badass, but I'll just say it. She's a badass, from what I recall in the movies or in the movies, in the books to come. Well, guys, guess we can toss that one. I'm just kidding. Frick. I might need to reference it. Alright, I'm back. I threw it without thinking. Goodness. Dude. Oh my gosh. So good, dude. Thanks, Lucas. I appreciate you sticking around, man. I didn't think this would be the finale, but lo and behold. Lo and behold. That's so sweet. Yeah, and thanks everybody who stuck around from Lucas's stream. It does mean the world to me. I don't normally get like a ton of viewers for this like novel series, so it means a lot to me when there winds up being like a solid gaggle of wildflowers here. I appreciate it a lot. I appreciate it a lot. And thank you again, Lucas, for the raid. Party of 9. It's a lot of peeps. It's a lot of goobers. Dude, I can't wait for the next one too. But you will have to wait till next week. This is a good cliffhanger to leave it on too. My goodness. Next time on Percy Jackson and the Heroes of Olympus. What the heck? Thalia is alive? Question mark? Is she to be evil? Will she be Kronos' piece on the chess table? Or will she act for the betterment of all heroes and humans? And gods alike? Find out next time. Thinking I'm gonna finish here? If not, I might have something neat to read. Well, I guess it depends on what it is. What you got for me? I do want to have a little bit of time at least before I hit the hay, and I do need to be up by no later than 8:30 tomorrow. But if it's a quick read, like 30 minutes ish or less, I might be down. I played Armello for a bit and unlocked some novellas about the game's characters. I can check how long they are. I think they're really short. Yeah, dude, that could be fun. I'm diggity down. I didn't know that that game had some cool lore. Is it like just straight up info about the characters, or is it like their stories and like what they've done in the lore? Sick. Dude, This one. This is the next one, dude. I wonder what color this one is. Ooh, look at that. It's kind of hard to tell. Get some light on it. Hey. Heck yeah. Oh, also, dude, and yeah, look, the inside is like purple. It's so nice. So friggin' nice. Dude, they make these books so flippin' nice. However, I did want to show you guys. It's not like, I don't know, it's not that big a deal to me. But look at this. Or do you see that right there? Look at that. It's like smeared out. That whole section. The flips up with that. Thankfully, it's like, it's still visible enough to where I could read it, but I don't know. I must say, I was actually, I was a little, actually, you know, heck, dude. Thanks for helping me see like the positive spin on that. It's like a rare, it's like a rare typo. Sick. Or a rare, yeah, like defected one. Oh yeah. I'm gonna take good care of it. Yeah. No, I'm just kidding. Just. I would never. Like misprint Yu-Gi-Oh cards. Sick, dude. I am actually looking forward to like, I don't like, now that I'm getting back into literature, thanks to the stream, heck. I'm excited to, yeah, like purchase, yeah, like books that I want to own, you know, like series that meant a lot to me. I have like a good repertoire, and I will say, like, I worry about winding up owning, in my opinion, too many books. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know if I'm the guy that wants to have like a full bookshelf of books, you know? I don't know. I don't know. That feeling is probably likely to change, but as a guy in my 20s, I don't really want like a big bookshelf at the moment. Dude, I can't wait to loan you this book for Sci-Fi Days. Dude, can you get it to me by this Sunday? I'm heckin' excited for it, dude. And I've been meaning to like go to Barnes and Noble simply to just like ask, hey, show me to your short story collections this instant. You're coming to Raleigh? I am in Raleigh. I mean, I'm really where I am right now. Thankfully, we're all friends here. But it's okay, dude. I mean, we were talking casually. I understand. Um, lol. Yeah, I was about to say. Yeah, I don't know. Like that, you could find that on like my SoundCloud, I think, even like my Twitter. But yeah, I'm here, like I'm home at the moment. And I'll be here for the foreseeable future. I don't really have any plans to travel at the moment. Oh, heck. No, I didn't. One sec. So it's 80 pages, but the pages are smaller than the Skyrim books. Obviously wouldn't have to finish it in one go. I have 5 to choose from. Could pick one to start. Might be a good time. Time filler series for you. Heck yeah, dude. I don't know. I am like, I'm waning in energy and like consciousness. I will say, like, I'm feeling pretty worn out. I won't lie to you. So I think we ought to save it for fantasy night. I don't like that we keep like pushing off our work together though, dude. Meh. What if we like decided to for Fantasy Friday, what if we decided to start with yours? That way like it doesn't wind up getting to the end and I wind up like too tired for it or like the stream goes too late or junk like that. Right on. Cool beans. Cool. Try to find the best of the bunch. Oh, also, Coleman and Cade were telling me about how, like, what is it? Brian David Gilbert, BDG. He went through, you know, and I did see like that Unraveled he did about Skyrim, and he picked out like the best of the best. So I'd really like if we could kind of like go by that list if possible. However, there could be some hidden gems in there that he didn't find, but he did go through and read like every single one. The madman. So I'm thinking I'd like to go through that list. Yeah, you gotta find time to play Skyrim and find the books. Yeah, and that does slow us down. I mean, we could, like, I could just find the references online, but I don't know, that's not nearly as fun. I like the idea that, especially with like the like the lore that you've built for your character, how like he's, what is he, like I don't know, he's a seeker of literature, wants to like collect books and whatnot. I thought that was cool. Coolio. Okay, guys, I genuinely am. I've been like hit with like a shockwave of the sleepies, it's like the the sleep train has entered the station, and I'm like hanging on. It's like it's trying to suck me in. Gosh, I mean, heck, you can probably tell it's trying to go delirious over here. Yeah, and today, like, I decided not to I took only one break, which, oddly enough, like, it does wear on me, the reading. It's something that I love to do, but if I read, too much in one sitting, I can get sleepy. Okay, guys, in fact, I'm gonna load up the outro music here. Wish you guys a good night. Thanks again to Lucas for the raid. MVP of the night, no doubt. And thanks for sticking around, everybody. The stream went longer than I expected, but we done finished a book today. That's incredible. We're at the 3rd book in the series, and I can't wait to start it. Hope to see you guys for D&D tomorrow, and Fantasy/Fanfic Friday, and Say Your Merry Prayer Saturday, and Sci-Fi Sunday. I'm looking forward. I've been preparing for those this week, and I think they're gonna be a good time. I'll see you then. Sleep tight, my wildflowers. Keep on swaying. And remember, bring the merriment we've created today and spread it to others tomorrow. Alright. Love you guys super much. Have a good night.